Welcome to Talk About Topeka. I'm Chris Schultz. Tonight we'll pick up with part 2 of our Capitol tour with Jim Rinner from JE Dunn Construction. Last time we explored the inner and outer dome along with the House and Senate chamber. Tonight we'll examine the Secretary of State's office, judicial chamber, and a few surprises on the basement level. After the break, we'll have in-depth coverage of the Redo It Downtown open house event. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode where swimwear is optional. It all starts right now.
All the metals you see everywhere, not only the dome were clean, but all the stair metals were deeply tarnished to black and had to be cleaned. So they again were cleaned with toothbrushes very delicately. You do some highlighting into the features, so there's some darkened areas that we put into that. Then we come back with a clear lacquer and preserve it for years to come. This is a good level 2 to kind of pay attention and appreciate. Again, the east wing was built first, and it has certain design characteristics. You see kind of a simple paint design, fairly simple stencil design on the ceilings, pretty much real light colored. Go to the opposite side, the west wing, that was the next area to be built. It had more color, more browns, more tones, and a lot more decorative painting in it. And then when you get into south and north and Rotunda that were built final, get a lot more color, a lot more detail in the decorative painting and such. Yeah. Follow me into the Secretary of State's office.
All right. Looks
this is actually
ceremonial.
Yeah, this is actually the former Secretary of State's office. They moved, I believe, in 2009 across the street. This ends up being a kind of a ceremonial room or a ante-room for this committee room that's on the other side of this door. Gathering area, but is used for bill signings or other ceremonial events like that. But this is the one room that was really completely restored to the original design colors and everything. If you notice, the woodwork in this room is much darker than anywhere else you see in the building. And this represents what the architects believed was the original color of the wood. Over the years, the woods have been refinished, and they would use a bleach and get the stain out. And it ends up in most of the building now, it looks like a honey oak or something, a much lighter wood. But there was evidence that showed that this was the color, so we wanted to go to the degree of finishing up this one room like that, and then also did a refinishing of the floor like this. It's obvious that in the original construction, they must have commissioned an architect to design finishes for each of these individual suites as you kind of walk from an area to an area in second floor. If you look at this is the blue room. You have a lot of blues, real specific stencil design on the walls and ceiling, but it's unique. You don't see anything close to this anywhere else in the building. I'll have us just step in here for a minute to give you an example of what it's like going from this design theme in this room to a much different design in this room, and it continues as you go from this room to the next room. It's a different theme. These are the new stairs that we had to build from the ground floor up to give adequate egress, ingress into the new occupied ground floor of the building. So we had to carve through the foundation of the building. All this stone down there was the foundation of the building, and we're able to carve through there and make these stairs and come up. So we have them here at the southwest corner, the northeast corner on the opposite side. It's a great way to circulate up through the building.
Yeah.
The entire ground floor, for the most part, was an oversized, glorified crawl space. It was filled with mechanical systems and pumps and fans and air handling units and electrical switchgear and things like that. Some storage rooms. It was just filled with nothing that the public wanted to be around for sure. But so that early in the concept design of the building or the renovation, they determined that they really wanted to try and create some more office space to accommodate all the legislators, for one, that needed to be in the building that were starting to have to move into other locations, and all the support functions of the building too that were having to find other locations that really needed to be in the building. Well, let's turn the ground floor into functional space for offices and other functions. So They needed to make it more functional for visitors coming through, and we needed a front door to the building too. Combining with the need for parking structure, they needed places to park. So it all kind of fell into place that, okay, we need to put a parking structure underground on the north side of the building. We need to find a way to get people in, so they're going to be coming in the ground floor. We need to make the space usable. Well, it was actually pretty good sized space for a utility space, but it wasn't appropriate for bringing people in using as an office.
Yeah.
The floor used to be up here. This was finished floor. You can see the shadow line. So we needed to create more space, so we took the floor out, excavated down to give more appropriate space. The east and west wings are soil bearing. They didn't have as much load imposed just from the 5 levels of construction. With the load of the dome and drum and all that, they needed to go on down.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. But really in here, you know, once we get all the pumps and mechanical systems and junk out, they had painted the stone, so we had to get all the paint off the walls. The mortar was deteriorated, so we cleaned that up and made it, you know, an architectural finish, really. We did this typical detail of the brick base on it to give it a more regular surface for both maintenance and for ADA concerns and things like that. And it really makes a fantastic finish. So you look up and all you see is building structure. And we paint it and it's beautiful. So you look around this room now and it becomes kind of a display for the Historical Society. They kind of theme these rooms. This one's talking a lot about this dispute between the populists and the Republicans again. This is where they took this sledgehammer and broke down the door. So we're outside the footprint of the building here. Prior to the renovation, this would have been soil where we're standing. This is the outside foundation, in this case, of the west wing. This is the south face of the west wing foundation, all backfilled with soil prior to the renovation. We built 4 vault areas, big basement areas outside the cross of the Statehouse out here. These go down about 20 feet deep, and then a pretty good sized rectangular section out here. And then what you see here is a mezzanine that we built this floor about halfway up on that 20-foot deep basement to create a walkway and build offices along this path here.
It doesn't feel like, it feels like you're on like a promenade deck.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
It really does.
So in the daytime, I was hoping we could see more light on the building, but the sunlight comes streaming through here. It goes into these windows in nice offices on the inside of West Wing.
Wow.
Into these offices on the mezzanine side of the vault, and it's just beautiful.
And suddenly it's not in the basement anymore.
No, and you can imagine when we started building this and people were learning that, yeah, you're going to get moved into the basement of the Statehouse. They're going, oh my gosh, what are we going to get? It's beautiful office space, and this is some of the most preferred office space in the building now. And the foundation of the west wing was particularly irregular. You see all these stones jetting out. A lot of the other wings weren't like this. They're a little bit more even cut and stuff. We contemplated whether these needed to be trimmed back so you had more of a wide walkway, but decided no, let's keep the historic stone there. And it's great. You know, they use it for plant stands and things like that now. It's really cool.
And at the end, we have a tunnel to the docking building.
A tunnel to the docking building. That's where that goes?
I think so. That's what the sign says.
Down there?
Wow. Now that's, I can tell, you guys didn't do that.
No, we didn't touch that. We did build to the cream color wall down to there, but that's it.
We went from the promenade to steerage. It looks like.
Believe it or not, that's a historic stain. We offered to get rid of it and was determined to be historic. Now, Chris, this room represents the center of the rotunda. So if you looked up from here, you'd be right under the chandelier above us. You'd see the entrance to the east wing offices on this side. Directly this way, it's the south wing offices. Then on this side, the west wing offices. Center of the building, visitor center straight out this way. It's great for circulation. People come straight in from the visitor center. There's elevators over there and over here, stair here and here.
To go.
Yeah, it's great.
And this So where are we in conjunction to the parking garage?
Parking garage is straight out here and would be just beyond the entrance to the visitor center and down 1 and 2 levels. Beautiful things again from the Historical Society. This is John Brown's sword. Isn't it fascinating? You can walk up to the John Brown mural outside the governor's office and see this dangling on the side of his hip. Yeah, it's really nice. This is by no means a museum, but it's a nice kind of transition. The Historical Society has so much of a place in this building, and it's a connection between their museum and what we have to offer here at the Statehouse. This is fascinating. People just love coming to see this. As we were taking apart the copper of the dome and bringing down, large architectural pieces like this, it became pretty obvious that we needed to keep some of it and make it available for people to see. So we created this display.
To even touch.
Yeah, come up and touch it.
And it doesn't feel like what I thought. I mean, it's rather hollow.
Yeah, it looks massive. If you get critical about the details, there's good reason to, because it wasn't really well detailed in the original construction, and a lot of the reason why we had to replace it. We improved so much of the fabrication details and the way it's attached to the building, but to look at it, as what it was as a historical part of the building, it's just amazing. It's so fascinating. Then we make the connection between the photo that's on the side here,
of where this is.
that points directly to where it came from. It's real interesting bringing these new elevators into the building and creating elevator shafts where there used to be offices and converting all that. It's a neat experience.
That is cool.
Yes, so throughout here you get to see a lot of the historic building pictures. It's just so hard to imagine this building being conceived and going into this open farmer's field with maybe 3 blocks of downtown Topeka.
And they had a trolley car.
Yep. This is a picture of the modern construction crew to contrast the photo on the opposite side of this visitor center. We appreciated the pose on the stairs and wanted to do something similar.
It's quite a crew.
Yep. So this is kind of leaving the historic building. This is the foundation of the north face of the north wing right here. Kind of the explanation that the architects use to explain the difference between the historic building and the renovation. Anywhere you see smooth walls, it's been modified with the renovation. Anything rough is part of the historic building. So it helps tell the story. We had to widen these because of the large number of people that were going to be going through the building here. Widened it and improved the arch
And I'm just
support.
noticing a headache that I would notice here.
Yeah.
How the wood is cut out to match the stone.
Oh, I can show you many of those. That's a typical
what I keep
detail here
saying.
in the basement.
Hand done tediously.
Yep. Tediously, you set it up there and you use a pencil to scribe it and get it where it's close, and you cut it, and then you come back and find that the stone's not only like this, it's also like this, and you have to continue to modify it until it just fits upright.
You're making giant keys or something.
Yeah. So this is the absolute outside of the historic building, and then all this becomes the new part of the renovation. When we built the parking garage, it was the very first part of the renovation done. They wanted the parking garage, so we built the parking garage out there and needed to have a way to transition people from their cars into the building. So the master plan was to have the visitor center built here. So we built the structure, concrete structure for the visitor center, created the access through elevators and stairs from the parking garage, and a pathway to come into the building and travel down through the unfinished visitor center. And ended up the last thing that got funded for the project was the visitor center. So we were able to finish all this and complete this portion of the building. Complete the front door. The underside of the structure here is the underside of the grand stairs that go up on the north side of the building. So when we built the garage, we had to remove all the stairs, store them, build this structure to be the substrate of the stairs, and then we put those back on and then turns into this space. The state of Kansas can really celebrate this building, and we're fortunate as Topekans to have it in our city and to be so conveniently located to everything that we're trying to promote with downtown redevelopment and all the historic part of town and all the things that really mean a lot to us.
We're seeing a lot of great things happening, kind of a shift in Topeka. So.
Yeah.
It's a good time to be in Topeka, folks.
That's right.
And you just saw the Capitol building with Jim Rinner from JE Dunn Construction. And folks, get down here and see this place, because really you're going to say, just as I did, I want to count how many times I said wow.
Wow, yeah.
Because I think I said that a lot. So you will say it a lot. So Jim, thank you so much for bringing us down here.
Chris.
I really do appreciate it.
Today's an exciting day. We're several weeks out from the bidding process to wrap up for the road work and utility work for the downtown project. That'll be all the underground improvements from 6th Street to 10th Street, plus the road work, curb, and just the basic sidewalks. Meanwhile, we're about halfway through the conceptual design for all the various pocket parks and art and sculptural and pedestrian spaces. So we're pretty excited about it. We've gotten everybody engaged and are starting to put together some of the designs. We'll be wrapping them up here over the spring so that we have them mostly complete by probably, I'd say, early May. And then the thought would be we'll kind of get everything polished off, maybe put it out for public presentation the end of May, 1st of June, and then it will go out for bid early summer. So the scheduling will be that as the road work and utility work starts to wind down towards the end of the summer, then as the fall starts, they'll come in on the sidewalks, start installing all the pocket parks and all the pedestrian spaces, and then kind of wrap it up then late fall. So the west side will be complete this year. Probably the only thing that would be left on the east side. The only thing that would be left on the east side then would be landscaping, and we would do that next spring. So, and then next spring we start on the west side, same process, and wrap it up. So 2014 east side, 2015 west side.
Well, people are excited. I mean, for some people, this project has been going on for years. And so it's a culmination of a lot of efforts on a lot of people's behalf. And so what I'm seeing are people that are excited. They're looking forward to what this will lead to. But there's just a lot of optimism and enthusiasm for what can be and what we do expect downtown. What we're seeing are concepts of what pocket parks, pavilions, and mid-block arches will look like when this project is completed. Again, these are being funded by the private sector, so some of these companies that are funding it are bringing a little bit of who they are as a company, their brand, but at the same time we're trying to weave in the history of this community so that when people come downtown, they'll walk away knowing a little bit more about the history of Topeka and some of the people that led us to where we are today.
We have a table set up over here where we've come up with a short list of about 21 different notable Topekans that we're asking people to give us their feedback on, and we're also asking them give us some names of anyone else that maybe we've been missing. We'd like to kind of cull through that list and maybe pick 2 or 4 of them that we could start with actually some sculptural art downtown and tell a little bit of narrative about them to kind of bring some of that to the downtown area. Pretty excited about that opportunity. That's one thing that's really missing down here is a little bit of storytelling and sharing our history. And Topeka has a pretty deep, rich history. It's just been very bad about sharing it. So there's a big variety and spectrum of folks there, but all of them have a great story.
There'll be 2 pocket parks in each block, about 20 feet wide, maybe up to 40 feet long. People will be able to go and sit, relax. There'll be places where people can sit around water features. There will be landscaping that people can enjoy, lighting effects, but there will be things that will be different in each block. So as you start at 10th Street and go down to 6th Street, you'll have a different look in each block, and it'll be something that people can look forward to as they walk the avenue. We'll also have a wider sidewalk, which means there'll be outdoor dining, there'll be vendors, there'll be music, there'll be things that people will really enjoy as they come downtown and spend time enjoying what we have for them.
You know, folks are going to need to be patient, of course, but I think once we get, you know, into the flow of things and get that first couple weeks of chaos out of the way, you know, we're going to be on the avenue. I'm going to be there all the time. I'm going to be talking with merchants and affected business people and making sure that, you know, they know what the general schedule is, what's coming on down the line, and we're all going to be in this together. They're such a great group of people, and when I see how committed they are to their business, that it's a labor of love for them, then it motivates me to make this a labor of love for me, because this is about helping them, and it's about helping the whole community rebuild downtown. We're going to redo it downtown, as the slogan says. So it's just getting to know these people on a first name basis, understand their concerns, and having the opportunity to help them work through this, so that in 2 years' time we can all be proud of what we've accomplished together. That's what I'm excited about.
The city wants everyone to know that we are going to try to get as many people downtown during this construction project as possible. We know businesses are still open, things are still happening downtown. We really wanted to thrive as much as we can during this construction process. In an effort to do that, we opened 2 of our parking garages. It's Crosby Place and 9th Street garages for free parking for 2 hours. As long as people come down to the avenue and go into downtown Merchant. You go to the register, you get a validation ticket, and it's 2 hours free. So as long as you park in the garage, even if you're there for 3 hours, you can plug in your validation ticket and get 2 hours off of that 3-hour bill. So it's a pretty cool new thing. Plus, we want to remind people that we still have metered parking. We have about 284 metered stalls on half of the avenue, the west side that will still be open, and on the side streets. So we still have metered parking, but really take advantage of the parking garage, especially if you've never parked in one of our parking garages. It's kind of a cool, safe, convenient thing to do. If you have any questions about any parking, we have this cool new website that we're directing people to. It's topeka.org/Kansas Avenue Project. It has its own parking tab, so anyone who wants to come down to the avenue or plan ahead can visit that website and click on parking and find everything you need to know.
3 years ago, it wasn't a matter of when, it was a matter of if. Now it's a matter of when. I think that's that speaks volumes. So now you're seeing people want to find a space to get back downtown. You know, people are moving in back down here. We're trying to find, you know, the retailers and restaurants and dining spaces. So I can't wait for 2 years from now when we're there.
I think things have changed simply because people realize this project is going to happen, and they've realized that the private sector really does want this, and they've stepped up, and of course we've raised $2.2 million, exceeding the goal we had of $1.8 million. So it's a reality to a lot of people now that were skeptics originally, but as soon as they start seeing the digging take place, we'll all realize that indeed this project is a reality, and we can't wait for it to happen, and we can't wait for it to end in 2015.
That's our show. You know, with the shiny new Capitol and all the excitement happening downtown, we're convinced that this is a great time for our city. And we're glad to be along on the journey with all of you. Join us next week for Ad Astra Theater and Hog Herd and a Bird Barbecue, or HHB, downtown. I'm Chris Schultz. Keep talking about Topeka.